Hello and welcome to gusmcdollgames. My name is Nick McDowell and today we're playing Show of Force, the third mission in the NATO campaign in Naval War Arctic Circle. Naval War Arctic Circle is based on a hypothetical Great Arctic War set in 2030 and fought in the North Atlantic, Arctic, Baltic and the North Sea. The NATO campaign covers the Great Arctic War as experienced from the Northern Partnership and NATO alliances. In Show of Force, I must stop enemy submarines from breaking out of the Greenland-Iceland-UK or GIUK gap. Each mission starts with a news article to give us some context. The Daily Global Courant, Tuesday 13 August 2030. Arctic conflict escalates. Russia-Norway now in a state of war. A brief statement was issued by the Russian president today saying that Russia reluctantly acknowledges a de facto state of war imposed by Norway and its allies in the Northern Partnership. The statement significantly made no mention of either NATO or the United States of America. Please pause the video if you would like to read the full article, and while you're doing so, don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more great content. Okay, for King and Country indeed. So, Mission 3 Show of Force. The description is that enemy attack submarines are attempting to break out of the Greenland-Iceland-UK or GIUK gap into the Atlantic Ocean proper. Use all assets at your disposal to find and destroy enemy submarines. And our objectives are to destroy the enemy submarines. As you can see on the top right hand side of the screen, we're also not to lose any surface ships and reach victory conditions within 3 hours of gameplay. Okay, so our first detection is a Beriev A-50U Schmel, which is an AWACS aircraft. So we'll dispatch an F-35A in air superiority profile to immediately go and shoot that down to deny the adversaries some situational awareness. They have a base at the Russian airport there. We have a base in between at Bodo Air Base, and we've received intelligence on possible submarine locations, and your tactical map is updated with the locations. So we'll take the Boeing P-8A Poseidon here, which is in an anti-submarine warfare profile. It has 200 DCAS-A and SSQ-62 sonobuoys to play with. So what we'll do is we'll put that into the first known or suspected location of enemy submarines. We'll get it going down low. We'll increase the speed. We'll take the second Poseidon here, and same. It's okay. We're happy with this. It's happy with the altitude. Happy with the speed. It's also got 200 sonobuoys to play with, and we'll put that in pattern on the second of the markers. And then we'll go to Orland Air Base where we'll see what they've got. They've got PC-3 Orions. And what we might do, F-35 Lightnings and also aerial refueling aircraft. So we'll take one of the Orions and launch that out to the west in case it's needed in a backup position. But we already have 3 aircraft on the go. So here's the Lockheed P3C Orion in an anti-submarine warfare profile, and it has 6 Mark 54 torpedoes it can use as well. So a 4-engine turboprop aircraft, perfect for an anti-submarine warfare role. What we'll do is we'll use this aircraft to supplement the Poseidon aircraft that we already have out. As you can see, it's got 87 sonobuoys, ANSSQ-62s, not as many as the other aircraft, but should be ample. And we'll get that going into the third of the marker areas. Now this is the Astute. It's got a Thales sonar type 2079, 6 nautical mile range. The HMS Astute, an Astute class submarine. It also has a Type 2065 towed array sonar, which we will deploy now, and a Thales Sonar 2076 flank array with a shorter 4 nautical mile range. We'll leave those flank sonar in passive detection mode for the time being. And we'll get it moving around a little bit to see if it can detect anything by a change of aspect. As we saw in our earlier tutorial on sonar, changing the direction in which a submarine is facing can improve its detection capability. So our first surface action group here consists of the Richmond, which is a Type 23 frigate in the GIUK class, and also the Daring, which is a Type 45 destroyer. So they're heading northwest towards the suspected enemy locations, the submarine locations there. They've got anti-submarine warfare, Augusta Westland AW101 helicopters, so we'll take one of them from the Richmond, we'll go to the Richmond, we'll take that helicopter, we'll launch that, and we'll launch that so that it can provide a bit of local protection to that surface action group. In fact, what we'll do is we'll launch it so it goes to one of the known locations. It's a bit of a fly for the helicopter, but that's okay. And there we see the AW101 HM2 taking off from the Richmond, and yeah, we'll head that towards the one of the known locations or suspected locations for the submarines, just to give us that extra depth, because we have a Poseidon and the HMS Astute class going into that area as well. So we'll push the Augusta Westland helicopter out, going back to the surface action group then. And this is the Daring, a Type 45 destroyer, and it also has a helicopter, so we'll get that one going. And we'll launch that in the northeastern of the suspected submarine locations, and there we see that helicopter taking off from the destroyer. Okay, so back to Bodo Air Base. We've got some Orions. So I'll take one of the P3C Orions and launch it. And another one we'll launch at the northwestern marker. And another at the northeastern marker. And this is going to give us added depth and persistence if we don't find the submarines initially. So there's Bodo Air Base. And you can see the flight queue. And there's our Lockheed P3C Orion, 4-engine turboprop, flying out on mission. So that's Bodo Air Base. 72 AMRAAMs in self-defense. And we still, we'll get this F-35. It seems to be taking a while. We'll go back to the Orion. The F-35 doesn't seem to have progressed much in hunting the AWACS aircraft. So we've got the second of the Orions is out, heading to the west. And with this F-35, we'll just check its speed. Yeah, it's going too slowly. So we'll increase speed to cruise. And that'll enable it to engage it. When it takes down the AWACS aircraft, that just denies our adversary some situational awareness. So now to the Queen Elizabeth carrier group. Centered, of course, on the Queen Elizabeth. And this will give us air cover. We can see here the air group, quite a number of F-35C Lightnings, air superiority, naval strike profiles, and even in-air refueling and electronic warfare. But what we'll do is we'll take one of these E2s and we'll launch the E2. And the reason for this is that that will give us a bit of an air picture. Okay, we have the E2 Hawkeye now taking off from the Queen Elizabeth, a twin-engine turboprop AWACS aircraft, and we'll get that launching. Reduce its speed maybe later on. APS 145 and 324 nautical mile range, and this will just make sure that we can detect any air threats against our assets, because we've got a lot of Poseidons and Orions flying out there, which will be very exposed against enemy fighters, for example. It also has an infrared seeker at 22 nautical miles. We'll leave that passive for the moment. Back to the group. So that group is being escorted, as you can see, by a frigate and a destroyer, Type 45 destroyer. So 3 ships all out. They've also got their own anti-submarine warfare helicopters, so we'll take one of them and we'll bring that down to a low altitude. We'll launch that off, and this will give us a bit of local protection in case the adversaries have submarines hunting our carrier group, which will be a very rich prize for them to take. So we'll put 2 helicopters up in the sky in different vectors, and we'll get them out listening out for submarines. We're going to have a look at the sensor packages on these ones. Yep, we've got 3D radars. We've got Thales Smart L radar, 216 nautical mile range. We'll leave that passive at the moment. We'll leave it off. Same with the BAE KH-1007 surface search radar for the Kelvin Hughes. We'll leave that off. The Thales Sonar 2050, we'll activate that in case there is a submarine threat. Same with the Type 2087 sonar, which is a towed sonar. We'll activate the sensor and we'll deploy the sensor. And again, this is to detect anything that might be lurking around. We have a Samson, which we'll leave off for the time being, an S1850M radar, which we'll leave off for the time being, and an MFS 7000 sonar, 4 nautical mile range, and we'll activate that, again, to give us a bit of situational awareness on any subsurface threats. With the E2 Hawkeye telling us what's in the air, the helicopters and also the sonar systems telling us what might be lurking beneath. So back to Bodo. I'm going to launch 2 F-35As in an air superiority profile to the northwest, the northeast of the airport, because the adversaries have their airport there, and we just don't know what they might seek to launch in the way of missiles or land strike aircraft against our air bases to neutralize them, and we just want to have some protection. So what we'll do is we'll get them on patrol, slow them down a bit, put their sensors on, so they can we'll put sensors on for 1 aircraft only at this stage, and by placing them between the 2 airports, that'll give us a bit of early warning. Okay, so back to our submarine hunt. We'll get the Astute to change its aspect and see if that changes anything. Again, in the tutorial on sonar, this was demonstrated by changing its bearing every now and then. It improves detection, and lo and behold, we have a detection of an enemy submarine, which was immediately detected as soon as we started to move around. So we've got 28 Spearfish heavyweight torpedoes. The contact is within range, 29 nautical mile range, so we'll go ahead and launch. I think we'll go ahead and launch a Spearfish at that target now. And there we see the torpedo launching. So that's the first of our 3 submarine contacts we've detected. Now we'll go to the Spearfish, we'll go to the sensors, and we'll deactivate the sensor. And my thinking behind deactivating the sensor and changing it to passive sensoring is that the torpedo may be able to get much, much closer to the enemy submarine before it's detected by the enemy submarine. We also have a Poseidon coming in on location, and yep, so the Astute is on the case. We'll speed up time a little bit and see how things develop with that Spearfish heading, as you can see, towards the enemy submarine. And the Spearfish is going at 150 kilometers an hour, so it's closing very, very quickly, as is the Poseidon. So we'll speed up time a little bit more, get it closing in. Okay, what's happening here? So we've got the Augusta Westland helicopters told us it's awaiting orders, so what we'll do is we'll stop it, we'll bring it down to the height that it needs to be at, we'll take the Thompson Sintra flash dipping sonar, activate it, deploy it, and get it listening for submarine contacts near the carrier group. So back to the Spearfish. Speed up time, see how it's coming in. The Poseidon's coming in on location as well. It'll be dropping sonar buoys, which will help with the detection. As you can see in the top left, we've shot down the Beriev Chamel, so the adversary now doesn't have situational awareness over our air forces, or our surface forces for that matter. So that's very important, to deprive them of that situational awareness. Okay, so the Spearfish is still tracking. Remember, it's passive detection. Oh, and we see the enemy submarines detected it. relatively late in the piece, as you can see, and it's starting to make a run for it. At 65 kilometers an hour, it's making a run to the east. And you can see how close the spearfish got before it was detected, and now's probably a good time to activate the sonar. Because it's already been detected, there's no point remaining covert. And the Poseidon's got its search pattern there. We'll let it drop a few sonar buoys and we'll see how we go, whether it needs to prosecute the target by itself. We'll speed up time and follow this attack in. So the Gepard has been detected by the Spearfish, Torpedo and the Astute. Okay, moving back to the Augusta Westland, stop it and bring it down to an appropriate altitude. And we'll go to the sensors and same Thomson Sintra flash dipping sonar will activate and deploy that sensor so that it can be listening out for submarines. And we'll deploy the first sensor deep. You can see it's on a layer. I'm going back to the Gepard, which is being chased by the Spearfish, which is almost going twice its speed. So we'll increase the game speed to see how this attack develops. And you can see the Poseidon there laying decast sonar buoys in a pattern around the submarine, which should improve our ability to locate or get precise fix and positioning on the enemy submarine. But I don't expect it will be around very much longer because the Spearfish is tracking it down pretty quickly. Okay, it's within a couple of kilometers. We've got our time sped up. Okay, we'll bring it back to normal time and track the final moments of this attack. And the Spearfish is coming in. And I'm anticipating any moment now the Gepard will be destroyed. Oh, but no, wait. The Gepard is not destroyed and has evaded the torpedo. So I think, okay, well, we'll go to the Poseidon now. It's time to make an attack. Stop laying its sonar buoys and simply make a run in. So we'll attack the Gepard. And it's already launched to Mark 54, as you can see. This is one of the traps that you can, if you designate a target and it's within range, it'll immediately launch a torpedo. But that torpedo is unnecessarily far from the target. So I think what we'll do is we'll conduct a manual attack. We'll run into the vicinity of where the Gepard is. It's being detected by the sonar buoys, so we're pretty good with detection. And we'll get ready here. Actually, we'll get an attack here when we're much closer to the Gepard. And then we'll get the Poseidon out of the way. It'll go off to the northwest of that area and we'll allow those two torpedoes to prosecute their attack. The Gepard is still running to the east. And the first torpedo is close to its target. And the Gepard is destroyed, which is the first of 2 enemy submarines that we need to destroy to sink in order to succeed in our mission objectives. So that Poseidon will now take that to the northwest of the suspected locations. It's going to go up there. It's laid a few sonar buoys there, so there might be a second submarine in that initial location there. We'll get the Astute clearing its baffles initially to the northwest. So if there is another enemy submarine in that first location, the sonar buoys and the Astute should do a good job of picking it up. Meanwhile, our Hawkeye has reached its patrol pattern, so we'll make sure it goes up to its maximum height. We'll slow it down to conserve fuel. There we go. And that will give us our persistent surveillance over that area as well, so we can tell if there's any enemy air threat. So we'll get the Astute to continue clearing its baffles in a counterclockwise direction. And this will help to detect anything else that's in that area, and particularly any subsurface contacts. So between the Astute and the decast sonar buoys, that should help us out enormously. And bringing it round to the east, speeding up time is always a good way of doing this, so you don't have to wait too long. Okay, and so far nothing's been detected, but we'll just let the Astute do a slow pass to the northeast of the target area. Okay, speed up time. So we've got that Poseidon. We'll move that to the northeast. We'll retask it. And we've got this, what we'll do is we'll set up a pattern for the sonar buoy in here. Oh, okay, the area is too small, must be at least be 5 kilometers square, so there you go. I thought that was much larger than 5 square kilometers, but there we have it. Okay, the F-35 is going to refuel. Lockheed Orion is moving into the target area, so we'll retask the Orion as well. No sense covering the same ground that's already been covered by the sonar buoys. Get this. Oh, and now I should have, for this first surface action group, I really should have set up the sonars like I'm doing earlier. This was a bit of an oversight on my part. And setting up these sonars is something I should have done immediately the mission started to protect them against sonar, against subsurface threats. The northwest target area has been covered with DCAS. The northeast target area, we're starting to lay some sonar buoys. Oh, and we've got a submarine contact there. So we've got the closest asset in the area is actually the Poseidon itself. Everything else is way too far away. So what we'll do is we will use the tactic we used earlier, a manual attack. We'll fly over the suspected location, and when we get pretty close to where we think the submarine is going to be, then we will manually launch like that. Okay. And we've destroyed the Vepo, the second of the enemy submarines. So we've destroyed 1 aircraft and 2 submarines for no losses on our side, which is a pretty good result. As always, thanks for watching. For more Naval War Arctic Circle content, check out the NATO campaign and Jersey blockade playlists on our channel. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and donate. And stay tuned for the next episode.